Hello, welcome once again. This is Si Wing Yi, and today, not too often lately, but I'm going to talk about the foreclosure activities year to date. It's April the 20th, 2023. By the way, before we begin, back during the last real estate crash in 2008, a couple of years after that, 2009, 2010, my firm and myself were involved helping real estate investors to buy those foreclosure properties back in the old days, around 2010 to 2012. Wow, those are amazing times. We're able to get our investors to buy like for pennies on a dollar, like 50 cents on a dollar. But oftentimes our investors have to buy with all cash. Sometimes they allow financing. And a whole bunch of REOs that came into the market. So we were part of the process of helping our investors to buy those properties. We were focusing on Las Vegas and Phoenix and some in California and some in Florida. So those were the good old days. 2010 were the best real estate deals ever. We were never going to see those kind of discounts at that time. But this type of foreclosure is very different, not only from a historical perspective in terms of the number of foreclosures and any real estate investors that want to, in today's environment, want to buy foreclosures. Good luck. You're not going to get much of a discount, if at all. You might have to overbid on any limited availability of foreclosures right now if you were to get the deal. Don't think you're going to get a sweet deal this time. If you can find them, which is very few foreclosures right now, at least for the time being, just keep that in mind. I do have some access to some foreclosure properties, some government foreclosures. Actually, we're promoting that particular space. So if you're interested in more about it, please put your email on my website below. So I can put you on our email newsletter. So you will receive free weekly updates on real estate investing and some limited foreclosure deals that we have from time to time. All right. Without further ado, I'm going to talk about foreclosure on giving us reported by ATTOM Research. So ATTOM, they specialize in monitoring foreclosure activity. So ATTOM's a very reputable website, and they are the top notch in terms of doing this kind of reporting. So without further ado, ATTOM, the team, this article was dated April the 19th, yesterday, 2023. So let's dive into all the data. All right. And the U.S. properties were foreclosure filings. We talk about foreclosure filings. It's a long way to go from beginning to the end. The whole cycle, a long time consuming cycle. But this graph basically shows the foreclosure activity from 2005 to currently for 2000 until first quarter 2023, which is right now. As you can see, during the real estate crash, we have a foreclosure almost at 1 million mark. So it's the highest foreclosure rate in the history of real estate, for that matter, up here, right? 2006, 2007, and 2008. I do remember those days very vividly, very well. Anyway, since then, after the 2008 crash, the foreclosure rate has subsided and the market become just balanced and pretty steady growth. So as you can see, from the peak of the economic crisis in 2008, we have seen less and less foreclosures throughout the remaining 15 years. And then let's look at during the pandemic, during March of 2020, of course, there's a lot of the government intervention and all the moratorium that occurred around here. The mortgage lender are not foreclosing around 2020. And during the past 3 years, the moratorium was put in place. Now the moratorium has expired recently. Now they're going through the foreclosure activities. And yet, as you can see, there are extremely very few number of foreclosures, although they've been climbing up since throughout the past 3 years, pretty steady from as low as like 20,000 at the beginning of the pandemic. And they steadily has rising to around 100,000 around last year, the second quarter of 2022. And they have steadily, very slowly have risen in this past 6 months or so. So still at 100,000 filings, foreclosure filings. Now, just because the foreclosure filings has occurred, it doesn't mean they can end up in REO. The bank will pick up the property, real estate owned, and then sell it in the courthouse. There's a very long timeline from foreclosure filings into the banks getting it from REO. So in some states, it'll take 2 or 3 years before it becomes a real estate owned in books of the banks. As you may not know, the banks these days, they do not want to hold foreclosures on their books. They are doing everything possible to find a way to mitigate, rescue those homeowners. And that's a lot of options available. I may not have time to talk about it right now because people are going through the crisis. They have a lot of options available and a lot of good options available with all kind of rescue options that are available throughout various sources. Without further ado, I want to concentrate to go over this article. I can talk forever about this, but again, ATTOM research, and they have done all this market report on the foreclosure data. But let me fast forward to over here. Again, the foreclosure starts. I'm not going to go over again. It's kind of the same graph. I'm going to share with you which particular state have more foreclosures and why, what have you. I'm going to start off by the major metros with a population of at least 200,000. And let's discuss what are some of those locations. They have the greatest number of foreclosures starting quarter 2023, which is these few months. New York has 4,600 foreclosure starts. Chicago comes second at 3,500. LA, 2,200. Texas, 2,100. And Philadelphia, 1,900. Quite low. Highest foreclosure rates are in Illinois, Delaware, and New Jersey. Okay. And among 223 metropolitan statistical areas, we call it MSA, with a population of at least 200,000. Those with the highest foreclosure rates were in Fayetteville, North Carolina, which is 1 in every 526 housing units. And Cleveland comes second, 1 in every 582 units. And Atlanta City, New Jersey, 1 in 661. Columbia, South Carolina, 1 in 671. Here we go once again. Here's the timeline, and we are right here. So the foreclosure filing has been creeping up a bit little by little in this past few months. Bank repossessions increased 8% from last quarter. Lender repossessed 12,000 U.S. properties through foreclosure REOs in quarter 2023. So these repossessed REOs are in the final stages of the foreclosure. So it went all the way through. So it was up 8% from the previous quarter and up 6% from a year ago. So nothing to be really concerned about. A slight uptick from the past few months and the past year. U.S. completed foreclosure, we talk about completed, have gone through the entire cycles beginning to the end. Once again, as you can see, we're still pretty historic low. We compare all the way from this graph starting in 2005, which is years ago. And as you can see, the last few years were still at a historic low compared to 15 years ago, not even close. So it's been pretty steady in the past. Yeah, during the pandemic, the past 3 years has been steady. The foreclosure, the completed REO has been pretty steady with a slight uptick in the past few months only. Again, those states that have the greatest number of real estate owned completed foreclosure, that is, the bank has repossessed those properties. That's why they call it REO, real estate owned. In first quarter 2023, Michigan with 1,800, Illinois with 1,000 something, California 846, Pennsylvania 788, and New York 774. Still a very minute number of the totality of all the property units located throughout the U.S. A very small percentage of houses were in the completed foreclosure REO status. Right? Average time to foreclose increased 12% in the previous quarter. Properties foreclosed in Q1 2023 have been in foreclosure process an average of 950 days. Think about it, right? These this batch of homes, they started the foreclosure 3 years ago at the beginning of the pandemic. Why? Even though the moratorium were in place during the entire pandemic, why there are still a fair number of properties go through the paperwork process. I don't know. Some of those owners maybe they don't want to go through the moratorium situation. They just let go of the property for whatever emotional reason, financial, personal reason why they didn't, it appears that they did not go through a workout solution that afforded them during the past 3 years. That's pretty interesting for those homeowners that didn't try to go through the workout options. All right. So average days to complete the foreclosure, again, 2 years. So, for the future, no matter what happened moving forward, it'll take a long time. It'll be a steady foreclosure filings, and the cycle, the timeline will go through for several years to come. So you're not going to see a let foreclosure can come in the market all at one time. No, that's not going to happen. It's a very gradual days. New York, 1900, Kentucky, 1800, and New Jersey, 1697. So stick with the short now. This is a long time. The court system are still working out a lot of these foreclosures in those particular states. Stick with the shortest average. You know what? Coming back over here, stick with the longest average foreclosure timeline. I wonder why they have not shown Florida. Because my company and myself, we help investors to buy a lot of foreclosed homes in Florida back in 2010, 2012. And Florida, they have this proceeding, right? Everything had to go through the court system. So it takes years. Some homeowners, because they are very well versed, some homeowners are well versed to the foreclosure process back in the last crash. Maybe they were assisted by some attorneys, but they find a lot of mitigating reasons through the court to delay foreclosure. So some people live in their homes rent-free that were in a foreclosure status back in 2008, 2009, and they continue living in their homes for 5, 6, 7 years rent-free as the foreclosure process gets delayed throughout various legal means. Those homeowners, they took advantage of the court system back in the previous real estate crash. So a lot of stories I can tell, but I'm not going to spend the time to do that right now. So let's get back to this article. All right, let me see what else I need to say. Sticks with the shortest average foreclosure. See, let me highlight this. Sticks with the shortest average foreclosure timelines for homes foreclosing Q1 2023 were Wyoming, 111 days. Minnesota, 141. Montana, 143. Texas, that's quite surprising, 146 days. I was not aware of that. Arkansas, 157 days. Okay, so March 2023 foreclosure activities, high-level takeaways. And here it is, according to ATTOM research. Nationwide in March 2023, 1 in every 3,813 properties had a foreclosure filing. States with the highest foreclosure rate in March 2022, that was last year, were Illinois and Delaware and Nevada and Indiana and New Jersey. Okay, and there were 24,000 approximately U.S. properties started the foreclosure process in March of 2023, up 19% from the previous month and up 18% from March 2022. Percentage increase is nothing major, it's gradual. I do not see any kind of trend that indicate we're going to have an uptick of foreclosure filings. This small percentage, single digit increases from year over year are nothing to be concerned about. I don't see anything unusual. But nevertheless, foreclosure filings has increased moderately recently. So remain to be seen. You have to look at, we have unemployment rate, the lowest unemployment rate in the past 40 years, in case you didn't know that. So the economy is still fairly strong. There's a lot of job openings. The job market is still pretty healthy, with some sector of the economy, such as the high tech, has been hit the hardest. And so that's the job market situation is the most critical. since there are plenty of jobs available, a lot of these homeowners in distress, they have a lot of workout options. As I mentioned, they have a lot of them have a lot of equity because the home values have increased so much the past few years. Most of the homeowners have a lot of equity in their homes. Some do not. For example, the first time home buyers that pay 3% down with their FHA, or they are veterans with a 0% down VA loan. Those first time home buyers that had those kind of mortgages are at higher risk of foreclosures, just so you know. Okay. And let's get back to my article here. And as we concluding this video, let me share you what else is going on. The U.S. foreclosure market data by state, Q1 2023. And let's look at, again, Delaware, number 2. Let me pick out the important states. Like California ranked number 14 in terms of number of foreclosure based on data. Let me see what else that kind of stick out there. Florida is number 10. Like I said, Illinois, number 1. So nothing unusual. Nevada, surprisingly, is at number 5. Ohio, number 6. If you notice, the bottom of the foreclosure activities are in South Dakota. There's a reason why virtually nobody live there. Obviously, the states that has the least amount of population, of course, you don't see that many foreclosures. The states that have massive amount of population, like California, have 40 million people, and Florida have around 20 million people, I think. Don't quote me. And New York State have, I don't know, 20 to 30 million people. When you have a lot of people living in a particular area, of course, you have more foreclosure. There's a game of numbers. My takeaway with this article by ATTOM Solutions is that, yeah, foreclosure filing has been picking up, but do not expect a glut of foreclosures going to hit the market anytime soon. So for those of you that thinking you're going to wait for a foreclosure to come down the pipe so you could grab on it and offer 50 cents on a dollar, sorry to disappoint you, then it's not going to happen. And the foreclosure, if you're able to get a hold of it, which is not easy, right? You have to know how to play the game. It's not difficult especially for the amateurs out there thinking you know how to work the system to find a foreclosure. It ain't happening. You have to connect yourself with an organization that specializes in foreclosures. Having said that, my organization, we have government VA foreclosures that we're working with because I'm a veteran. I'm an ex-veteran myself, 20 years in the U.S. Army. From time to time, the U.S. government, the Department of Veteran Affairs, they foreclose on properties that are held by the military veterans that bought their homes with 0% down VA loans, in case you have not heard about them. And some of them ex-military veterans, for whatever reason, various financial reasons, they let go of their houses, even during today's very robust economic conditions, and they still allowed to let their houses go. I don't know why, but yes, having said that, we have a few on a weekly basis. My firm have a several government VA foreclosures available for our investors to purchase with a very low down payment. So if you want to learn more about the information, put your email into my website below, on the description below. Sign up for our free real estate investment newsletter so you'll learn more about what I just told you. With that said, my takeaway is this: again, we're seeing a little bit of uptick on overall national foreclosures. It's not a crisis yet. Most people have massive amount of equity in their homes, and there's no way they can get rid of their homes unless something major, catastrophic, personal situation that has occurred with those people. With that in mind, so I will keep you posted on what's going on every quarter. I'm on the foreclosures. Yep, that's all I have to say. If you see a lot of value on this video, please smash the like button and subscribe to my YouTube channel so I can continue to report this very timely, very credible information to you. Nothing misleading, no clickbait, nothing like that. So I look at the housing market from a general perspective, from a high level every week. I produce videos and also help real estate investors to buy turnkey real estate properties in a very affordable market such as the Midwest and South and Southeast. So thank you so much. This is Wing Yi. I will see you on the next video very shortly. Have a nice day. Bye-bye.